Hey guys, in today's video we're going to be going over my personal predictions for Fuecoco in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and why I think this might actually end up being the best of the three starters competitively, at least in my personal opinion. But if you guys do enjoy this video and you want to see one for the final starter being Quaxly, leave a like below and subscribe for more content just like this. I know we didn't hit our like goal last time with 15, but we were literally one like off, and I figured, you know what, it's close enough. So with that said, let's try for we'll try for 12 this time. If we can at least get 12 likes, I will do the Quaxly one for Friday. So with that said though, let's really quickly go over what I was doing criteria-wise for the starters when I came up with their typings and stats and predictions. So as I mentioned, I figured that looking off a design and the type, well, that the types would end up being a type circle to where at least in one way, shape, or form, each starter could in theory hit one of the other Pokemon's types for super effective damage, or at least in some positive matchup, I should say. It's a more accurate way. But let's say that, for example, Quaxly was a water steel type, the grass starter Sprigatito was a grass fairy, and Fire Dragon was Fuecoco's typing. In this instance, for example, we have the fairy typing being bad against the water typing, but the grass being good against water. Well, the fairy being bad against the steel, I should say. And then we have the steel typing being great, for example, against fairy, but the water typing is the one that's positive against the fire from Fuecoco. So in each case, there's one typing that is positive and one typing that is negative against each of these. So at the very least, that was sort of the logic that I was coming from there. And you might be asking, well, where does the Fire Dragon hit well against Quaxly? That was meant for fire against steel, and then for also fire against grass. The dragon doesn't really have the positive there, but it's such a good type and you kind of need the neutral in that instance. And there are a lot of others that this could work with as well, but overall that was sort of the goal with this. Let's get into our first typing though, with that said, being Fire Electric. Fire Electric I thought could be pretty cool because the electric could obviously be good for the water typing, unless literally it would always be good in that instance, because even if it's water ground, in theory it would be hitting the water type. So with that in mind, we have the Fire Electric Fuecoco with Blaze, and then for abilities I had Flame Body or Drought for this. I think I actually did a couple with Flame Body. I think it's a very likely hidden ability on this, to be completely honest. It's something that's not too overpowered for a starter. And realistically, I'm thinking this will be a Basilisk, so in terms of, Flame Body, it could fit well with, maybe the scales being really hot. We have 75 HP, 95 attack, 70 Phys Def, 125 special attack, 65 Spadef, and 100 speed on this. And I thought this could be a very interesting type combination, actually, especially if you were to give this Drought. I feel like that would help a bit, because while, for example, with Drought, maybe you're doing less accuracy with Thunder and you have to settle for Thunderbolt or Discharge even. At the same time, though, with that sort of ability, you would be able to take advantage of Solar Beam but still have a really high-hitting option for water types. So this definitely has some options to, sort of balance itself out, so you're not just getting really reliable Thunders on top of Solar Beams on top of also Fire moves, because that would be a bit over the top. And at the same time, though, if you were to go for, let's say, a Flame Body, you can maybe take advantage of Thunder a bit more. This could also obviously just, have a signature move that's a really good special electric type option that has no drawback. So maybe there's just a better option, but I feel like between Discharge, Thunderbolt, and Thunder, this has some good options here. I felt like that this could realistically be a physical or a special option, so I'm not really too sure, but one thing I am certain of, this will probably be a Basilisk. I didn't want to make it too similar, though, to the Sprigatito evolution, so I didn't literally line up the Strong Jaw, which I thought could be a possibility, because I think there's a little bit more opportunity for other things. But we'll get into why I think the Basilisk with a couple other hidden abilities I think fit specifically the Mon a bit better. But I felt like, with how, in general, just how much mythology is tied to a Basilisk, I thought that maybe Drought could fit, because, it's setting the sun, and maybe it's just like a fire Basilisk, and, it's really renowned for that. And I guess this isn't a legendary, to be fair, but it is still, in this scenario, it would still be a final stage for a starter, so it has to have some sort of prevalence in the region. With that said, this one would probably be more of a special attacker, as I said, to take advantage of Drought. And the 100 base speed, this is basically just a really Scott version of Megazord Y. With that in mind, obviously this would be a good Scarfer, you could throw this on a Webs team, stuff like that. Tailwind if you're playing doubles, and especially with Drought and doubles, this could be a really good Sunsetter actually. While I don't know if it would be better than Torkoal, I think it at least would give a run for its money, considering one of its stabs is really good against one of Torkoal's weaknesses, being water typing. And Electric Fire still just hits really well in general. While it doesn't, outside of water, really help coverage-wise for what Fire's weak to, at the very least, it's just a really hard type combination to switch in on. So that's why I think this could be a really good typing, in my opinion. Next up, though, we have Fire Dragon for typing. Now, this is the one that personally I think fits the most design-wise, but they would really need to be very careful about making the starters balance with each other if they were to do this route. This pretty much would force a Fairy and a Steel type on the other starters in some way, shape, or form. But with that said, I think this would probably have Shed Skin or a Nerve. I tried to not make this too much like Dragonair, to be honest, which I was already considering Marvel Scale as another ability with Shed Skin, or something like that, like multi-scale as well, to try and make this quite literally just Dragonair the final evolution, which could also work, but I feel like a Nerve still fits pretty well. Because in Basilisk's description for Mythology, it was mentioned that it's a Pokemon that literally struck fear in anyone that looked at it. So I felt like with that in mind, a Nerve ability would fit really well, stopping Pokemon from doing berries. It fits really well with the description of a Nerve, so I thought this could fit pretty well with the Pokemon. With the Dragon typing, I decided to go for more of a mixed attack, rather than 110 attack and 100 special attack, and opt for a bit of a faster starter with 115 speed. Fire has a few options that are pretty fast, so I felt like this wasn't exactly too out of the question. We see for Pokemon over 100 stuff like Delphox, Infernape, Cinderace, and even in terms of speed boost, Blaziken, we still have that at least to boost above 100, with Typhlosion and Charizard both as well sitting at exactly 100. So Fire is a typically faster starter end compared to the other two at least, so I felt like 115 wasn't too out there. And on top of it as well, I think it would be really cool to see a dragon around the speed tier, because we either have dragons that are obnoxiously fast like Noivern, or stuff that's usually around like the base 100 mark. So having a 115 option with some good mixed offense, I thought could be pretty good for the type combination. I think if I had to say one that I think I would like the most, it would probably be this one. I feel like that this realistically could be a really cool stat and type combination, and this would be an easy OU Pokemon in my opinion. I think that as unique as the Fire Electric would be with only having Rotom with it so far, this would just be such a cool option because you could really be fluid with it, and even if they fuck up its moveset, they still give you a lot of options with potential for this, because they would really need to give this basically no coverage at all for this to really be a bad type combination, considering, again, you would have a really good speed stat and good mixed offenses. So whether you want to run this physical or special with, let's say, Drake or Meteor, or physical with, let's say, like a Flare Blitz or an Outrage, because I don't think this would get Dragon Claw, sadly, if it was to be a Basilisk. I think it would be pretty out there. But I think in general, we would have some really strong options with this Pokemon. Now, in terms of the final typing, I think this will be Fire Ground. With this route, I went with Intimidate or Flame Body. I felt like, again, Flame Body fit really well with the ground typing specifically, because grounds are typically thought of to be more on the physical side, whether defensively or offensively. And with that in mind, I went with a more physical leaning spread, with 85 HP, 105 attack, 80 Phys Def, 80 special attack, 60 speed Def, and 120 speed. As I said, I think that this will realistically be a faster starter. Quite literally, our slowest stat spread for this one was with the electric typing. But even with the electric, we still have a rather decently speeded Pokemon. So I don't think it's too out of the question to necessarily make this exactly a fast starter. With that in mind as well, with the Flame Body, this would be really good defensively speaking, at the very least to try and fish for burns, albeit its much better ability here would be Intimidate, especially as far as doubles goes. This could be a really good Pokemon in doubles actually, because you could probably throw at that point like a Life Orb on this, and with the 120 speed, you don't need to worry about many Pokemon are pacing you and going for like a Surf or a Scald. And if you were to throw like a Life Orb or a Choice Band on this, or if Dynamax comes back for whatever godforsaken reason, Dynamax, this would definitely have a lot of options there. You could also probably throw this on with Screens and Weakness Policy, to be fair. Something like Aurora Veil, Olo, and Ninetales could be a really good partner for this, actually, because you'd be able to immediately set up a screen and then take advantage of Weakness Policy at that point. So I feel like in general, you definitely have a lot of options here to make this Pokemon really work in doubles, but also in singles, because again, that typing plus speed tier is really good. With the ground typing, for example, you're able to hit rock that would normally pressure fire, which is great. You're also making that fire neutral for rocks, which is great because you're no longer forced to run boots at that point, albeit it is still a great item to have in general, but it's no longer like a mandatory item to make this work. And in terms of the fire typing, that's really good just in general for grasses for the ground typing, so the typing pairs rather well offensively speaking. But in my opinion, I think it should just be a more OU version of Cinderace, of Incineroar. But I don't know if it would necessarily be better or worse in doubles if it had that route. But let me know your guys' thoughts on the Fuecoco predictions down in the comments section. I would love to hear them. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like below. As I said, we'll shoot for 12 likes this time for the final mon, which will be Quaxly for the predictions. So if you want to see Quaxly, 12 likes, that's what the goal is going to be. And Otherwise, just subscribe for more content just like this. With that said, shout out to our channel members being Josh, aka Ultra Player, Zeke Zero, Randy Chappa, Mia, Rika Hoshizora, and Pokemon Fan Majestic Sarnius. I appreciate your guys' support a lot. And with that said, we'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, peace out, guys.